Hey everybody, and welcome back to the 10th episode of Split Screen Media, where this week we're going to be doing a very special holiday episode. We got all the regulars with us here. We got the host, Chris Blankenship. How you doing, bud?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. I'm doing well. And our recurring guest for the third time?
Third appearance.
Third appearance, Mr.
Yes.
Joey Burt. How you doing, bud?
Good. I'm having a good holiday. Hope you guys are too. Very excited to be on tonight.
Yeah, this very Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays to everybody out there. We really appreciate you guys sticking with us for 10 whole episodes, which seems absolutely insane.
And if you haven't been with us for 10 episodes, go watch the ones you missed.
Yeah, and welcome. If this is your first episode, welcome. We don't usually dress like this, but today is special. So we got a lot of things to discuss today. We're going to be talking a little bit about Mandalorian Season 2, what we thought. We're going to get into some viewer questions. I got a whole list right here, so we're going to get into those a little bit. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. And stay tuned because there's going to be kind of a, surprise ending / drawing if you guys missed last week's episode. So we're going to maybe be giving away some stuff. But yeah, let's get right into it. So Mando Season 2. I think we all have a lot of thoughts. For me, a lot of positive, but also a lot of negative. But you know what? Before we get into all that, I want to know what you guys think. Give me maybe not a scored review, but generally, what were your guys' thoughts?
This is spoiler free for everybody listening.
Yes, so we're going to be spoiler free for our general thoughts and maybe a couple minutes after that, and then we'll let you guys know. And then if you guys don't want to hear the spoilers, you can either stop watching or you can click ahead to the Q&A bit and everything after this where we won't say anything else about Mandalorian. So what do you guys think?
I think a lot of positives more than negatives. I really, really enjoyed it. I'd probably rate it 8 or 9 out of 10.
Wow.
That's pretty high.
That is pretty high. That's quite the high praise there. Joey, I'm thinking yours might be a little lower.
Yeah, so I don't want to give it a number review. But I will say I had a lot of fun with the season in general. The pros definitely outweigh the cons for me. I really enjoyed a few key moments in this season, and I'll get into those a little bit later. Yeah, overall, this was a much better season than the first one, in my opinion. And if this is the kind of direction that, I guess generally speaking, Disney wants to take Star Wars, I am here for it.
Okay. I think then I might have the most negative viewpoint on this season. I'll say this: before I tear this thing to shreds, no, I have a few complaints, but I definitely think this is the best thing going on in the Star Wars universe right now. This TV show, and I'm hoping that these other spin-offs are equally as good in terms of bringing Star Wars a little bit back down to earth, so to speak. But in terms of this season, I think this season was just a little bit better than season 1. And I said this to you, Chris, but I don't necessarily think that was a compliment, or at least not wholly a compliment. I was really hoping for this season to be so much better than the first one, that they would, learn from a lot of the mistakes that they made in season 1. A lot of the filler episodes, or some characterization, or just the overwhelming amount of unneeded fan service, which not to spoil anything, but runs even more rampant, I think, in this season. And yeah, if I had to give it a score, it would probably be maybe a 7 out of 10, which for me is pretty good, because I don't think of it as a 5 being bad. I think of it as a 5 being average. So for me, a 7 is good. That's a good score, but I know a lot of people would be upset by that.
That's how you're supposed to rank it.
Yeah.
5 is an average. And it's supposed to have a normal distribution.
Yeah, absolutely. Because people are like, oh, if it gets anything less than an 8, it's garbage. I'm like, do you realize how good an 8 is? An 8 is an incredible score. But, I guess we'll save our ranking debate for another time. But what do you guys think about the amount of fan service in this show? It can be season 1 and season 2, but do you like it, or do you wish maybe it would go kind of do more of its own thing?
Yeah, so this is one thing that I have as kind of a pro in my section, honestly. Um, so with the context of um, the movies that have come out lately, the sequel trilogy, Star Wars fans need a break. um, I, and I have a very negative opinion of the sequel movies. I'm not gonna hide that at all. Um, but I do think it's pretty matter of fact to say that this past trilogy had a lot of problems, and to say that they were not received entirely well. Um, and with the context of the prequels and stuff, they also weren't received well at the time. But um, I'll still focus on this sequel trilogy. I think this was a breath of fresh air. Um, and even seeing, I guess going back to the question, even seeing, these reappearances, it can seem like not fan fiction, the like just fan service. Um, I didn't really see it as getting in the way of me enjoying the show though. Um, obviously it's kind of a cheap, like nostalgic grab, but um, I think overall it just really worked to improve my experience watching the show.
I agree. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I think I was really excited for some of the fan service that they had in the show. I didn't feel like, oh, of course they went there with it. I didn't have those thoughts.
Yeah, I think my idea of fan service is probably different from maybe like most Star Wars fans' version of fan service, at least that they want to see. I get interested in the stuff. I think I can say this without spoiling anything. There's a moment where Mando goes to a new planet, which is, I know, every episode, but there's one in particular he goes to. It's kind of this like earthy, mossy, there's fog everywhere type planet, and in the distance you see these crazy tall two-armed creatures, and I'm like, oh, what is that? And like, I want to know, like, that to me is cool world building, and that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to see like the good character development. I want to see new things in Star Wars that I haven't seen before. Which, love it or hate them, that's exactly what the prequels are. It's all new ideas. It's all new concepts. Whether or not they're executed, that's a little up in the air. But that's the kind of stuff I want to see. And more often than not, it was like, hey, everybody, here's this person. You remember this person, or you remember this planet or this thing? And at a certain point, it's like, yeah, I'm a Star Wars fan. I know all of these things. I don't necessarily need to see them again to get excitement. What excites me is interesting stories.
Yeah.
That's
And
true.
I'll definitely ditto that. I wanted to see a lot of strong character development in this season. I like you, I didn't want to see a lot of filler episodes. And one of my biggest complaints was from the first season that there wasn't really a central tie-in or central plot, and they worked on it in this season. I'll say, I won't say they fully got there, but they worked on it. I do appreciate the effort in that, and I can only hope that with season 3 that they kind of evolve the writing and direction of the show a little more.
Because we should say this too: the plot of every episode is the same plot of every other episode.
I was gonna say it was very formulaic with this season, and I hope that is not the case going forward.
Yeah, it was Mando. We can lay it out too for people, I guess, who haven't seen it. It's Mando has some kind of ship problem. He arrives on a new planet. He needs something from someone. They need something from him first. He does a job. Job goes wrong. Teaser for next episode. Credits. That is every
Directed
episode.
by Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
There's another thing, but I'll wait for the spoilers section to say that I can add one more thing to that. But
right. I do want to say this too. Going just to add to my positives, the music in this show is awesome.
Yes,
it is so good. Ludwig Göransson is currently one of the most talented composers working in Hollywood right now. He did Tenet, Black Panther, this. Basically everything he touches has been awesome, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Did you do this soundtrack for Rogue One?
He did not. That was Michael Giacchino, who also did a great job.
Right. Yeah.
I think the two of them did a great job for very different reasons, because Michael Giacchino did a really good job of copying John Williams in a good way. Like, he made it sound like a Star Wars movie, whereas Ludwig Göransson didn't do that at all. He was like, I'm going to make a straight up Western, but also have this kind of like heavy percussion trap beat underneath it. which he's really good at in all of his work, especially Black Panther. But that I think is one of the best parts of this show by far.
Connor, have you ever seen the video about finding the sound for the Mandalorian? Have you seen that video?
I have, where he's playing like the big ass flute.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's a good video.
Do.
Yeah, anyone who hasn't seen that should check it out.
Yeah, he's a super talented guy. But that was just one of the other things I wanted to mention. I think it would be worth going through maybe just each one of these episodes and our feelings on them. So I think we can officially say spoilers from here on out. If you haven't seen the show, don't watch this. If you don't care, then I guess just keep watching. I don't know. We're going to summarize, basically. We're going to give a little description of each episode and then give our general feelings. So we'll start at episode 1. Sweet episode 1.
I'm gonna add to your formula for every episode. Baby Yoda has to eat something.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Or stare
Or play
hungrily.
with a little ball on the ship.
Yeah. Baby Yoda does something cute is just written in the script.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this first episode because holy shit,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Yeah.
It's one of my top 3, I think, maybe top 2.
For me, it's the best thing I've seen in Star Wars since Rogue One. It was everything I want to see in Star Wars, and it's exactly what I was talking about with the world building. So basically, Mando has to go back to Tatooine, and he has to go to a planet to get help when someone needs his help. But he finds Cobb Vanth, who's wearing Boba Fett's armor, and he says that he will give him back the armor as long as he helps him defeat this crate dragon thing, which is a giant monster creature that's terrorizing his town. And he basically has to go fight it. Fight ensues. Blah blah blah. But the directing in this episode is absolutely insane. When they're fighting the crate dragon and they switch to IMAX cameras, and it looks like, I don't even know how they shot that. It looks real.
It was fantastic.
Yeah,
It really was.
So, like, my favorite part about this episode, there was a good amount of development and a lot of buildup. And Timothy Oliphant did a fantastic job. I honestly wish we had more of him in this show because he's such a good actor. But the buildup of this episode, just leading up to that final fight, topping it off with the appearance of Boba Fett at the end, I think really sealed it with like just holy shit, this is a great episode. I wouldn't rewatch it like twice. It was so good.
It's the longest one too. It's like 55 minutes. It feels like it's 20. You blow through it because it's so entertaining.
Yeah,
I think it did a really good job of humanizing the Tuskens, and also because they had to work together. And then it also had a little bit of comedy with the instead of going after the bantha, it goes after the Tusken guy when he's leading into the cage. I wasn't expecting that. I was pretty surprised by that. It was nice.
That's a lot of the dry humor in this show that really works. Like when Mando right after that, he's like, I think we need to rethink our strategy or something like that.
Also, you guys may have forgotten about this, but the very first like 5 minutes of this episode where he's in that fighting ring trying to track down the other Mandalorian, right? There's that sick like action fight they have, but the choreography is great. And Mando has this one move where someone's about to punch him, and he leans into it with his helmet, and he just like gets knocked back. I just love that.
Yeah, that whole opening was fantastic and really led for like me expecting a lot from this episode, and it still blew all of my expectations out of the water. But the world building thing that I was talking about is, I think, best exemplified here. Chris, you brought it up. But the Tusken Raiders, and they mentioned this in season 1 too a little bit, but the fact that they're not just like these crazy savage creatures, but that they're deaf. And the only way that the reason that they attack people is because they can't communicate with them, and then people get afraid because of how they look, and then they slaughter all these villages and stuff. But Mando comes in and is able to reason with them by using sign language, and I just thought that was such an interesting idea to add to those pretty two-dimensional characters, but like they do so much with them here, and god damn, every second of this episode I thought was fantastic. I really have no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, I think this may be a little nitpicky. You guys can tell me what you think. But and maybe I just missed it. But did they explain why Boba Fett did not go and get the armor back himself? did he just not know it was there? Because I think he saw Mando was like leaving the town, so like why did he not go in and just take the armor back?
Yeah, my only assumption is that he just didn't know it was there because Cobb Vanth has been kind of keeping it low key with the armor. Like he, obviously got all the people out of there, and he killed all the guys with the missile and everything in that one scene. But then he just sort of protects the town, and it's most something, I don't remember the name of it. It was like Mos Eisley, but it was called like Mos something else. Mos Pelgo. Yeah. But then I think he just, again, keeps it kind of low key. And the only reason that he knows is because there was like that crazy fight with the Krayt Dragon, and then he sees Mando take away the armor. It's a little bit ham-fisted, but that's kind of the excuse I made.
I'm willing to forgive that entirely.
Yeah.
The only other thing is it's a little, I don't know, it's just a little odd to me that he just kind of happened to find the armor and bought it off of some Jawas. Like, what happened to Boba Fett after, the Sarlacc pit? There's a lot of like holes there, and maybe the show is going to explain that. The Book of Boba Fett. I don't know, but that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say there are holes. I think it just needs fleshed out more.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at.
There are definitely holes that can be filled in, though. It's not like something that you can't go back and like retroactively change shit. So for now, they're holes. I think that's definitely fair. But all right, well, I think we've praised this episode enough. Let's talk about the dumpster fire that is episode 2. I really don't like this episode at all.
Yeah, this is one of the more forgettable ones for me.
Yeah. It's not terrible. It just came after something so great, and you're like, man, I cannot wait for episode 2. And you're like, really? This is it?
So I think for me, this is a complaint I'll bring up later, in later episodes, but I feel like the stakes in this show are never really that high. Like, Mandalorian has this insane armor, nothing can get through. Baby Yoda has the Force. They're pretty well equipped, right? For some reason in this episode, I think it's because of the just the eggs themselves and this lizard woman or frog woman.
Frog lady.
Yeah, just the fact that she's kind of defenseless. I feel like the stakes were a lot higher in this episode, which made it a lot more interesting for me, at least.
I had the feeling when I was watching it, she could die and I would not care. He could get back to doing what he needs to do.
I do think it was really cool how they were kind of forced back into the pilot room, whatever it's called.
Cockpit.
The cockpit. Just by the overwhelming amount of spiders that were like rushing in to their ship.
The spiders I actually thought were cool. I just think the idea of him having to take this woman there because she kind of knows something about where he's supposed to be going, it just, I don't know. The eggs going into light speed with them dying doesn't make any sense at all. Like, when you're in the ship, you're protected from hyperspace. Like, I don't even know how that would kill the eggs, but
I want to reiterate, I understand why she can't die. I just, I don't feel anything for her.
No, you just don't care. Yeah.
It did feel a little bit meaningless to me, and it's just kind of like another vehicle to get the plot moving. Like, all right, you got to get to this planet, but we have to fill in time, And this show keeps doing that, and I'm not a fan of it. Like, it's frustrating because there's an episode I want to talk about. I think episode 4. Where it's basically you cannot have this episode and you can just be fine not seeing it, right?
Yeah.
I do like the way it was kind of shot with the spiders. It was almost like horror movie-esque.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool.
Yeah, for sure.
That was for me definitely the best part of the episode, because again, it's new things that you've never seen, like ice space spiders in Star Wars before, so that's always fun to kind of get new creatures and stuff. The last thing I want to bring up about this episode, the guys in the X-Wing were noticeably horrible at acting. Like, they were just really bad actors.
We see them later, and it's the same thing.
Yeah. I'll have to go back and rewatch that because I didn't pick up anything.
I was
being necessarily bad.
they were like, "You there? What are you doing?" Like,
I think they were trying to have like kind of, it was like obviously like a cop chase kind of thing, but
Yeah, like they're more stern in
Yeah.
their inflections and stuff.
yeah, definitely. All right, yeah. Well, I guess we can move on to episode 3, which I definitely think is better than that one, which I could say about any of the episodes moving forward, pretty much. This one I thought I actually enjoyed a lot. I think there's a lot of cool locations. Like when he goes to like he basically lands on a Mon Calamari-esque planet, and there's like it's gross, and there's like fish guts and crates, and it's on a dock, and like it's kind of nasty. And I like that. This is also the first episode of Bo-Katan, who I guess is in Clone Wars. Joey, do you have more backstory on her, I guess?
Yeah, without trying to really get into spoilers there, and just talking about, I guess, the rest of the show. At one point, she has the Darksaber. It's given to her by someone. It is given to her. She does not take it. I'll point that out because that's important later. But she loses it. I'm assuming to Moff Gideon. But yeah, she is part of this, I guess, last group that is truly loyal to Mandalore, like the planet, and the I guess the old traditional form of government there.
Okay. So she, and she brings up an interesting thing with the Mandalorian, which I didn't know, which because in the last season, at the end, they say the Mandalorian isn't a race, it's a creed. And they talk about how you can't take off your helmet, and there's blah blah. And apparently that conflicts with a lot of stuff in Clone Wars. So they had to rewrite it where Mando is just part of like a religious group of zealots. He's sort of like the far right conservative of the Mandalorian.
He's the Proud Boys of the Mandalorian.
He's the Proud Boys of the Mandalorian.
Which isn't too far off, but
no, but he's not allowed to. Unlike them, he's not allowed to take off his mask.
Yeah.
They
So
don't wear one.
to kind of explain that a little, I guess Mandalore as of, and I know we're like way derailed now, but like Mandalore as of Clone Wars era or prequels era is more of an evolved society, and they still have their like respect for tradition and Mandalorian strength, but they've deviated a lot. So when you see like their armor and stuff, it's not pure Beskar. It's mixed with different minerals and stuff, so it's less resistant to like blaster fire, lightsabers, and all that stuff. That's just one example of how they've kind of lost their tradition. But it's very important to Boba Fett, the Mandalorian, that their armor has been handed down to them by their ancestors, and that they upkeep it because it's pure Beskar, right?
Okay, so that's how that makes sense then, because that I know there were some screenshots. People were like, oh well, how do the Mandalorians die off when like how are they getting shot in Clone Wars and dying? But that makes sense. If their armor isn't pure Beskar, then it wouldn't be it would basically be like stormtrooper armor, just fucking useless.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. But yeah, she sort of brings to light to him like you can be like I'm from fucking Mandalore, asshole, and like I I take off my helmet, like it's fine. And I think that sort of plants the seed in his head, maybe going forward, and then Bill Burr sort of reaffirms that later. But getting ahead of myself.
I did want to mention there were 2 really nice shots in this episode that I wanted to bring up. One is when the Freightliner ship is leaving the port. It has this like imposing, like central is where the ship's located in the screen. It's very central, very imposing shot. And the other is when one of the Imperial officers, the guy who's in the cargo hold, he's like waiting for the door to open, and he's got his gun drawn, and he's standing there very menacingly with the stormtroopers behind him. Thought it was amazing.
Yeah, the directing overall this season was better, I think, than the special effects too. Like they improved a lot of stuff, a lot of areas that were sort of lacking in season 1.
And then the comedy with the cargo hold.
Yeah,
I did like all of them getting.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, sucked out. That was pretty.
It was more Imperial incompetence, which it's the meme at this point. Like stormtroopers can't shoot. Empire's bad at everything they try to do, and can just be like killed off. Like why are they the reigning? I guess they're not at this point, but why were they at one point the reigning power in this galaxy if they're so incompetent?
Connor, I know you have feelings about
Oh,
that.
yeah, you hit on one of my least favorite things about this season and recent Star Wars stuff in general. That's an excellent point, and I totally agree with you. And I think going forward, once we get to like the Robert Rodriguez episode, I think we're going to discuss that a little bit more. But I'm trying to remember what episode 4 is. Which one was that again?
They clear out that Empire base with Cara Dune.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they go back to Navarro to refuel and fix the ship because the crust is broken again.
Again.
And you see Baby Yoda in the classroom at the school. I guess Cara Dune and Carl Weathers have like just revitalized this town, and it's improved so much. And the 2 days they've been gone. It really feels like 2 days. I know it's longer than that, but
No, it does.
It did not feel long at all for that to have that much change.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I don't like this episode very much at all.
I don't either.
The only interesting thing, again, and they don't even bring this up by the end of the season, which is another point of frustration for me. But one of the few plot lines that I was really invested in is what they're doing with Baby Yoda's blood. And you get a hint of that. You get like a weird cloning facility. They're talking about M counts, which is midichlorians. Like you're like, what the fuck is going on? And it's so cool. And that's like the one takeaway for me from this episode. I hate that blue fish guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels to me like they were trying to inject more humor with him as a vehicle, and it's again like I don't need that. I'm fine with the quips here and there, but we have R2D2 and C3PO as the primary vehicles for comedic relief in the original trilogy. Baby Yoda here with basically his every now and then he does something kind of silly or cute, and you get a laugh out of it. I think that's all you need.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you.
Connor, can I ask you, with the M counts, because it didn't go anywhere, do you have like this retroactive like loathing about it? Like when you were watching the episode real time, were you excited for it? But because it went nowhere, you have a different opinion now?
Yeah, definitely. I think and that again, that can be changed again if in season 3 they really go into that subplot. But I think it's a bummer to bring up stuff like this or bring up some kind of interesting story other than we need to get Baby Yoda to a different place. Like having any other subplot in this show would have made it really interesting, and then they just cut that off entirely. So that was a huge bummer. Again, this show, as much as I do like it, and I will say I do like it, but it's very safe. They play it, and that's really what it needs to be after these shitty sequel movies. Like you need to have your safe, bankable Star Wars franchise that's going to do well. So everything they've done so far makes sense to me, but I was really hoping, we had that in season 1, and I was really hoping in season 2 they would kind of push that forward. And mostly I think they kind of stood still.
Also,
I
Baby Yoda using the Force to grab space macaroons is my level of fat that I want to be.
That was awesome.
That was a good moment.
And another thing too is one of the few takeaways I had from this was like, oh, that the chase scene with the 2 ships was pretty cool. But then in episode 7 we get a way better chase. So I was like, fuck, this episode is useless.
Yeah. Totally forgettable, honestly.
It's very forgettable.
Forgettable.
Yeah.
Okay, so episode 5. This is where
the Jedi.
This is the Jedi.
They go to Corvus.
This is where we meet Ahsoka Tano. And she is, I guess, something, I don't know. There's a town under siege, and who fucking cares? Mainly what's important, the most important thing is that Mando is trying to find her because he believes she can train Baby Yoda, or in this episode we learn it's Grogu. Gogurt. So she talks to Gogurt, and you get Gogurt's backstory about him being on Coruscant in the Jedi Temple during Order 66. Kind of a lazy backstory, but that's okay. It's serviceable and it's fine. I'm still kind of getting used to the name. I think it's a little silly, but so are most Star Wars names. But Joey, you in particular, how did you feel? Because I don't think Chris, you haven't seen Clone Wars, right?
I have not.
Okay, so neither of us have seen Clone Wars. So how do you feel that Ahsoka Tano was represented seeing that show and then seeing this one? Was it accurate, or were there changes that you maybe liked or didn't like?
I felt that it was accurate, and I enjoyed it. I think Rosario Dawson was a great casting choice, because I know she came directly to, I think, Dave Filoni and wanted to be cast as Ahsoka, and I think she pulled it off completely. I think it's hard to nail in a live action show the style of combat and her dexterity, um, but I think that they did a good job at it, surprisingly. Because in the animated show you can do a lot with her movement. She's like spinning around on the floor, jumping behind people, and doing all these crazy things. And you can only do so much in a live action show, but I think they represented her pretty well.
That was something I had mentioned to you, I think, because when I was watching it, in the Clone Wars animated show, there's a ton of motion blur to hide all their mistakes, which is usually what a lot of people do when they're a little rushed for time. But they added motion blur to her live action in post to make her feel more like the cartoon. So you have that transition in your mind of being like, oh, well, this was a cartoon character, now it's live action, but I feel like there's this stepping stone in between those two to help me feel better about seeing her live action. And not only that, but her makeup was amazing. Like the practical effects on her were so good.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from this episode was her costume and makeup design was phenomenal.
Yeah. Best part of the episode for me, when it's like a 3-second scene, but it's when she's fighting him for the first time. Because you learn so much immediately. A lightsaber hits his Beskar, doesn't break it, so you're like, okay, cool, he's resistant to lightsabers. And then like just the choreography that happens in that section where he like shoots her with the thing, she jumps over a tree, he disengages it, uses his flamethrower, like it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean that basically showed that they're almost an even match, I think.
Yeah.
I think Ahsoka is definitely more powerful, don't get me wrong, but with that Beskar, like I don't know what really she can do. Like she can definitely get away or escape and probably get the upper hands, but I thought it was really interesting. I had this running through my mind, like, what if they end up just at odds later? Like, what is that going to look like? And I love that little first engagement because you're like, oh, it immediately answers that question. Like they're a fair fight for each other at best.
Yeah. That was, and again, really great world building. Letting you know how powerful he is, how powerful his armor is. It was good stuff. I thought the second half of this episode dragged a little bit when it's just like them fighting weird robots, and then she's fighting that lady in charge of the thing that I don't care about.
I wish they would have done a who shot first with Mando and the magistrate's first man.
Yeah,
but Mando just fucking kills him.
So that was interesting to me because they were kind of getting at how they're kind of the same, like they're both mercenaries doing mercenary work.
Mhm.
And he it was really like awkward, just the fact that they're just standing there not fighting while Ahsoka and the boss lady are fighting.
Yeah, it kind of broke the tension for me, to be honest.
I think it was like these two weren't fighting because they didn't have as much of a horse in the race because it's all dependent on what happens in the fight behind them.
Yeah, I just thought it would end a little bit more interestingly, because like he brings up a good point. He's like, this isn't my planet, this isn't my fight, I don't care. And I actually thought they were gonna have like a discussion about how sort of the ethics of this stuff, but then it turned into Star Wars.
Yeah.
And he had to like right at the end smile and pick up his blaster so that Mando could shoot him. And I was like, God damn it, it was almost really cool. And then you had to turn it into like boring Star Wars action, and that was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, I think overall that episode was pretty good. Again, I don't have as much connection to it just because I didn't watch the other one, but they did a good job, I think, of throwing in Easter eggs for people who have seen the show and like plot lines from that, while also people who have never seen it aren't going to be lost as to who she is.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you kind of get her character very well. So now is episode 6.
Here we go.
This one is really a mixed bag for me. In general, this is the one where, because at the end of episode 5, Ahsoka says you need to take Grogu to this. It's the thing. He'll send out this signal into the universe if there's any Jedi.
A seeing stone.
Yeah, seeing stone. Yeah. So if there's any Jedi, we'll find him. Blah blah. So he takes him there. He puts him on the thing, and he starts transmitting through this beam of energy, contacting all the other Jedi through the Force. And then Boba Fett shows up and he tries to attack Mando for his armor, but then a bunch of stormtroopers show up. They fight all the stormtroopers. Baby Yoda gets captured after end of episode. This episode in particular, Joey, gets into the stuff that I hate about this show with the stormtroopers, how they are disposable fodder for people to just kill, and how they're so stupid and so inept that it makes me wonder how they were ever a threat at all.
Yeah. So I want to highlight the positives about that first. Whenever I see like new Imperial technology that they start using, or like new stuff that hasn't really been shown before, I get really excited. And they brought out this like mortar, and it's like a very simple idea, like, oh cool, like a mortar. And they had this giant turret as well, and I was like, oh okay, they're gonna be smart. They're gonna pin down the sniper so she can't get a shot off, right? They're gonna be intelligent about it.
Fennec is back in this episode with Boba Fett.
Yes.
She is. And I'm very like irked by this, but yeah, they're gatling down the boulder she's hiding behind, and she just like pushes it, and it happens to roll directly into the turret.
And
I'm like,
she pushed her cover.
Yeah, and so I'm like, okay, whatever, that was dumb. And then you have this like little montage of her a few minutes later, where she's kind of like 360 no scoping people, jumping around, just being insanely overpowered.
Those were the words I used.
It's all fun, okay? It's all really fun, right? But it's just like I can't suspend my disbelief this much when stormtroopers are so bad.
Yeah, those were the words I used. I was like, she's the player in COD who runs around quickscoping everybody.
Yeah.
Because she is 20 yards away from somebody at most in like half these action scenes. Like it's crazy, and it is nice to see, and I love seeing everybody fuck up some stormtroopers, but it just, there's like 17 of them on one person surrounding them, and they can't kill them.
Yeah, it gets a little ridiculous. Actually, I think it's past a little ridiculous. I think it's all the way.
This was past ridiculous. This was
yeah.
It didn't make sense to me.
You get that in the last episode too. Oh my god, the way they just tear through the forces on that ship is
an entire Star Destroyer. Also, the writing of the show is like really odd at times. So they have this moment where Boba Fett's riding up on Slave One up to the Star Destroyer, and he says, "I can't believe it. It's the Empire." And I'm like, "What?" And then Fennec is like, "Yeah, that's right. It is the Empire." Or, "I can't believe it either." It's like, you guys just fought off like 30 stormtroopers. Like, what did you expect? That just like completely took me out of the episode.
I think what took me out is Mando running into the blue light that Grogu was doing like 3 times. He's like, all right, it's time to go. He would run into it. It would throw him
every
back.
time.
And then he'd look down and see Boba Fett, and he's like, he'd forget the lesson he just learned and was like, Grogu, it's time to go. And he'd run into it again. And he did that 3 times.
Yeah. The third time is inexcusable. First time, I get it. You have no idea. Second time, let's see if it happens again. But the third time, how do you
There's
not
a canon reason
expect
for this. There's a canon reason for this.
Okay.
That force field has sensory memory loss. It inflicts sensory memory loss, so you completely forget you ran into it.
Did George Lucas tell you that?
Is that true?
Yeah, so I called George Lucas after that episode. Like, I'm on speed dial.
He said,
was like,
stop
I'll work on the
calling
show,
me.
fuck off.
Yeah. Oh man, no, I think there was cool action here, like you said, like it's fun action, but it gets to the point where it's so ridiculous, the kills that they're getting on these stormtroopers and how just fucking inept they are. Like the only reason that they were inept in the original trilogy is because they were supposed to be clones, they were a little shitty, whatever, but like they were also only fighting like 2 or 3 at a time. So you could kind of excuse it. Like everybody's just sort of hiding behind cover and shooting. Like there's one scene in the first one in A New Hope where Han Solo runs around a corner and he sees 50 of them and he doesn't just start blasting through them with a minigun. He's like, oh shit, and he runs away.
What's also really interesting is the tactics they employ in A New Hope. They're very stealthy in going into the Death Star, right? They don't just like go in there. They get sucked in by the tractor beam. They figure out, okay, we're in trouble, guys. They have to get some stormtrooper outfits, and they like stealthily work their way through. And oh boy, when we get to episode 8, we're gonna talk about that.
Well, it's the same. Episode 8 of this show and episode 9 in the movies are exactly the same. Like what you're talking about with like, they had to beat up those 2 guys and disguise themselves and do all this shit. In that episode, Rey and Finn land on the ship and they just start shooting all of them, like 50 of them. I was like, this is like a Michael Bay movie. This is fucking ridiculous. But I guess we can move on from episode 6. We can talk about episode 7, which for me was my second favorite episode of this this entire season. I thought it was great. I didn't think it was as good as episode 1 because nothing will be. But one of my favorite parts of this show, and I thought it would be the worst part, but it ended up being one of the best, is Bill Burr. I think his character is awesome. I really like how he questions Mando's ethics and the Star Wars universe in general. Mm-hmm. His action scene with him with the pirates is really fun. And then you ultimately get the scene at the end where he's talking with the Imperial Guard that I really liked. Mando taking off his helmet was for me a massive surprise. And yeah, all around fucking solid. But what do you guys think?
I think this is my favorite episode, with episode 1 obviously being close second. I really like this episode, especially with the pirate scene, because the way it's written and directed, it makes you root for the Empire for a little bit there, and it kind of catches you off guard. You don't realize you're doing it, and when the TIE fighters come in, you're like, yes, they're saved, and then you're like, wait a second, whose side are we on?
Hashtag Empire did nothing wrong.
Well, ooh.
That is a great moment. And you get a little bit of that later too, because they're like in episode 8 when they're like, oh well, on the Death Star you killed millions of people. Well, they're trying to throw like they throw some elementary school ethics in there for you. But in this episode, I really think they do a good job of that because it's subtle. Because your brain really does have that moment when the TIE fighter, and it plays the heroic music mixed with the Empire theme, and you're like, fuck yeah. You get so excited. But I had that exact same reaction, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is also, I think, my second favorite episode. But this one blew me away. Like, I had no expectations for this. Actually, very low expectations for Bill Burr. I didn't like his character in season 1. I didn't really like him that much at all. And then he comes in and he shows all of this emotional depth in this episode, and it absolutely blew me away. I was not expecting it at all, and I think there's a lot of things that surprised me here. I particularly liked the last action he does, basically blow up the Imperial station, and the fact that he sets off the plan, like he says, you're not going to get your way, and just decides to kill his old officer. And I thought that was so neat.
Yeah, you know what? I actually forgot about the end where he snipes the thing and he's like, whatever helps you sleep or something like that, something to that effect. Yep. That was a great moment. And then the one thing of fan service in this series that I really like, pretty out there, obvious fan service, was the seismic charge from Boba Fett's Slave One.
Oh my god.
Awesome. So good.
Yep.
Yeah. I do want to say
sorry.
The just on Bill Burr real quick, when he is explaining like the explosive stuff and how it's like wild and explosive and easy to set off, and he says the same thing about Cara Dune. I think that's kind of funny considering everything going on with Gina Carano.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Carano.
In my head canon, he improvised that. Yeah, I was gonna say the seismic wave thing or whatever it's called. That's something that like it's like kind of deep fan service. It's not like, oh, here's Boba Fett fan service. It's like, if you remember this one specific thing from episode 2, then you're gonna get excited.
Yeah, it's a 3-minute scene from episode 2 where, and it makes sense because why wouldn't that ship still have those weapons?
Yeah,
like it to me it makes perfect sense in story and is also just a fun thing to use for the episode. So I thought it was great. I think we're all kind of on the same page with that one.
I do have to say, while we were watching it, I watched it with Hannah, and she's never seen another Star Wars movie. And she said the Slave One kind of looks like a clothes iron, and I can't stop seeing that.
Oh no.
Not wrong. You want the ship to just land like this, but it goes like this.
Yeah.
Like it's pressing an iron. I think we're gonna deviate a little bit for episode 8. I think this is
a big
where
one.
there's a
Rescue.
lot of stuff in this episode that I really like, and I think there's some fantastic moments. There's moments that I like in this. I don't know if I like the whole episode, especially the end. But general thoughts? What did you guys think? Episode 8.
So there's a lot of criticisms that I've been building up, I think. Namely, I'll talk about the stakes. This entire episode, I don't feel like there were any true stakes. Even really at the end when they were seemingly completely outmatched by these Dark Troopers, I was thinking, okay, they still have Beskar. Like, all of them are pretty, safe here. They don't really have to worry about anything. In the fight with Mando and Moff Gideon, he's got Beskar. The Darksaber can't hurt him. We don't know much about Moff Gideon, but Mandalorian is pretty, at least pretty adept in martial arts and can, probably take him out if he needs to. And it just reinforces the idea because you have Cara Dune, Bo-Katan, and the other Mandalorian, I forget her name. But they're just plowing through this entire Star Destroyer on their own. And it just reinforces that idea of, okay, the Empire is incompetent. They can't do anything. They can't shoot anybody unless it's the Mandalorian. And you have, I don't know if in this episode in particular, but you have a couple episodes where he's just like getting lit up and his Beskar is just, getting annihilated not annihilated, but you see they have perfect aim shooting him, but no one else, right?
Right. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. And then, Chris, real quick, what did you think?
I think the stakes were a little higher. I think because Mando isn't completely covered in pure Beskar, like if Moff Gideon got him in the throat where there's no armor, like real good, then he could die, and I was kind of preparing myself for maybe not the throat where he would die, but like an injury like that.
Sever a limb or something.
Yeah, not quite sever, but like an injury coming from, the Darksaber or something hitting somewhere where the armor, because he is mostly covered in armor, but it's not 100%.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good though. There's a couple of points I'll touch on, but I'll let you go.
Well, I just want to talk about what a fucking disappointment Moff Gideon turned out to be for me. I mean, when you really think about how this show has been building up to him, like his plan made no fucking sense at all. So
Yeah.
So let's break this down for a second because I'm so interested to hear what you guys think about this. So they are going to attack him on the bridge because they think he's there. He somehow figures it out. That's fine. I'm here for that. He could have figured that out a million different ways. He meets up with Mando, with Baby Yoda, says, "I've stolen everything I need from him. You can just take him." And I'm like, all right. I mean, I guess that's kind of fair. Then he decides to attack him. They have like a 3-second fight, which is admittedly kind of cool. Like there's some cool moments, but it's pretty short. He makes short work of him. They bring him in to the main control room where he tells Bo-Katan that she has to fight him for it. Clearly she doesn't have to kill Mando because Mando didn't kill Moff Gideon and he has the Darksaber. So all she has to do is like defeat him and everything's fine and then she can just take it. Then Moff Gideon tries to kill himself.
That was one of my points. That's super dark for Disney, but I love it.
It is. So if you remember episode 3, they have that one officer that had the little shock tooth. I was wondering why didn't Moff Gideon have that? So I'm gonna try to address what you said, Connor. I think when he said he got everything he needed from Baby Yoda, or Grogu, I think that was accurate. I don't think he lied there. However, like the only way I can really rationalize him going out and attacking Mando is out of vengeance or pure spite. I honestly don't know why he would. I mean, maybe he knew at that point that this is what he was supposed to do. The plan went to complete fruition. He completed what he needed to do. So his life was basically forfeit at that point. So I don't know.
I don't even know
how they're gonna
why.
rationalize it.
I don't know why he would give him the option to give Bo-Katan the Darksaber in the first place. Because, okay, let's say Bo-Katan doesn't defeat Mando. He gave an Empire weapon, a now Empire weapon, to somebody else. Like, Mando still has the Darksaber no matter what happens. So he knowingly gave him that Darksaber, even if that was part of his plan. And then, I don't know, he was just so weak, and like his plan didn't make any sense. And I was like, what the fuck? The only thing I can think of is that is like some weird clone of Moff Gideon. And that's what we're going to get into in season 3, where like he was just trying to make different versions of himself, or younger versions of himself. So maybe that's the original, but then he cloned himself again. So there'll be like a younger officer who is still Moff Gideon, or, you know, something. I'm spitballing, but maybe they'll do something like that.
Do you think that he was banking on the Dark Troopers to kind of bail him out if he needed to,
Yeah.
or like strengthen him, like protect him?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. The Dark Troopers were also kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Just with, they built them up as like these Titan killing machines, and there is a cool scene with where Mando's getting punched into the wall, and I actually thought that was kind of cool. Like his helmet's not breaking, but he's just going further and further into the ship. But then he kills one, and then, you know, obviously we get at the end, someone comes in with an X-wing. Oh, who is it? It's terrible CGI Luke Skywalker.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So let me say, like, I was thoroughly impressed with not only, I guess, the decision to do that, to bring Luke Skywalker back, but the buildup of bringing him in. How, okay, it's a single X-wing. You see a hooded figure come out. You see him pull out a green lightsaber. He's now attacking the droids. This is all monitored through these security cameras, and it's more of like you're getting a POV of, you know, those people in the room. They're all watching this happen, and they're like, "Are we in danger? I don't know what's happening." None of them really know him, nor they have reason to. I don't think. So it's such a cool execution of like what's happening. Like, are we saved or are we in danger now? I don't know. But yeah, the CGI was probably my least favorite part of that.
It was unfinished
of that reveal.
for sure.
Yeah.
They
It
need to
was
spend
like-
more on their deep fake software.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
that's exactly what it was. It was like a really bad deep fake. The voice was good. They got Mark Hamill's voice to sound younger, which I thought was cool. But I don't know why they didn't just cast somebody else if that's what they were planning on doing. If because they're going to do more Luke stuff in the future. So why wouldn't you find somebody already who like looks like him and can play the part?
Connor, can I play devil's advocate to that? I think
Yeah.
if you cast someone else, people might have gotten very confused, because if it kind of looks like Luke, then people are like, well, is that Luke or not?
Right. Well, and I can also retort to that. Why the fuck do you have Luke Skywalker in this show? And this is a personal thing. I am so done with Luke Skywalker. He has been revealed to us 4 times in the past 3 years. I'm done with him. I've seen where his story goes. I've seen the way Disney treats him. I'm so done. And that was what really bummed me out with the end of this, because there are other parts of the end of this that I think are really good. But the best part of this show for me is what you said earlier, Joey, which is that it's a fucking break. It's a break from these shitty sequel movies. It's a break from the normal Star Wars. You know, obviously, as soon as Baby Yoda came into the picture in episode 1, it was never going to be a truly independent show. But I like the idea of exploring new worlds from a perspective of somebody who isn't a fucking Skywalker. And with this twist, to me, it just threw all of that away. I'm like, it could have been anybody else. It could have been some different Jedi, maybe a new character Jedi that we can, who isn't really that well trained, but like maybe they can kind of, him and Grogu can grow together. And then, you know, the Luke thing to me, knowing what I know now about what happens in the sequel trilogy, and knowing how, you know, Disney has been treating their original trilogy heroes, is such a fucking bummer. And I was, as soon as I knew it was Luke, I was like, God damn it.
So
I was really hoping for a new character, and even though that would be a cliffhanger, I would be here for it.
Mhm.
I wish they would have cast somebody not deep faked. And I wish it would have been new, like a new Jedi, and we would be left wondering who it is or what they're. I mean, we would know who they are, but more of their backstory, even though it would be cliffhangery.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna disagree, Connor. And this is gonna be like I think our big fight. So don't hate me.
Okay. No.
But so overall, like I really loved the move, um, because going back, I think we really needed a break. We needed something to unify a lot of the disparaged fans, and we have a lot of new Star Wars fans, obviously, that joined because of the sequels. But the opportunity to see Luke Skywalker in his prime, outside of Return of the Jedi, um, has not really come up in a lot of media. I think Battlefront 2, like one of the highlights of that game, which spoiler for anyone that wants to play it, is you get to play as him in a mission. He's tracking down a compass that or a locator MacGuffin thing that belonged to the Emperor, and it was such a cool like moment because like I don't get to see a lot of canon of Luke Skywalker in his prime, like post Return of the Jedi, basically. So I loved that moment. And that said, I don't want them to oversaturate us with a lot more of Luke. I want to keep building on Mando. I want to keep building on Ahsoka because I think she's a great character. And even though we have a lot of content of her, her story doesn't really conclude. She still has a lot left to accomplish. And I want to see a lot more of these characters, and I want to go somewhere new and do something different. That I do agree with you on. But I do feel like there's an opportunity for Disney here and there's two paths. There's two fork paths here. You can go the easy route, and I'll say this is easier for Disney as a company to try to join and explain the things that happened in Rise of Skywalker and The Last Jedi, because there's a lot in between the gaps here that need to be filled in to explain why Luke is the way he is in Last Jedi. And in order to do that, you have to fill in, with these TV shows and have some kind of explanation for it, right? And I think you can do that. We can talk about that in the theories coming up in a second. Option B is admit you fucked up with the sequel trilogy, which I don't think Disney is going to do. But from there, that gives them the even more unique opportunity to build on what you have with Baby Yoda and Grogu. So those are my thoughts on that.
It's funny because I agree with everything you just said. My only, and which I know conflicts with what I just said, but my only thing that I disagree with is that I think this was the wrong show to have this reveal in. I don't think the Luke reveal works in a Mandalorian TV show. You're trying. This is the problem all along. If you're gonna do an Ahsoka TV show or a Luke Skywalker TV show or the Obi-Wan Kenobi one, then I don't mind when there's cross section with the movies. This to me just felt so far removed. And again, I feel like I'm very much alone on this because I know the internet was freaking out that Luke was back. But I liked that the show was separate. And I liked that it told its own unique story, or at least, tried to in certain aspects. And bringing Luke into this just means that Mando is going to be part of this massive galaxy-wide thing. The reason that episode 1 of this show is so good to me is because it is a giant monster that they all have to fight. It's this crazy, it's an insane fight, but it is on one town in a desert planet on the Outer Rim. It doesn't affect the galaxy as a whole at all. No lives will be changed by them killing this krayt dragon besides the immediate ones that are right there. And that's what I think that's when the show shines to me.
And yet the stakes feel very high in that moment.
Yeah,
even
exactly.
though you know that you have a very small set of characters here, some that are completely new, and this is not a galactic threat, like you said.
Yeah.
So I think the show really shines in episodes like the Marshal, for sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think that's where they need to go. And now, but can you go back? You've opened this can of worms with Luke Skywalker that I don't think you can close.
I think you can go back. I mean, he took Baby Yoda and left with him, to go back to the temple, and they could leave it at that.
They could. I don't think they will, just because Baby Yoda makes too much money.
Yeah, that's true.
But if that is where they decide to go, and then Mando starts doing other adventures, that would be an interesting way to do it. Maybe he looks more into the cloning now that Baby Yoda's safe. Maybe you get episodes just with him where he's going to these Imperial bases and trying to get information from people to keep him safe, to keep Baby Yoda safe, and to, try and destroy whatever materials they may have gotten from Baby Yoda, like his blood. That would be interesting. And again, it brings it back small scale, which is when this show is at its best.
Hear me out. Baby Luke Skywalker.
Oh boy.
It's just a big,
like a little
Mark Hamill.
A little tiny green lightsaber.
So yeah, I'll go back again to another point. We're probably harping too much on it, but I agree. I think they could have cast someone as Luke. I don't think that would have been too much of a stretch, especially if you have R2 right there, and Luke is, you get someone that looks pretty much like Luke, in the full getup with a green lightsaber. I don't think many people are going to be distracted and think, "Huh, I wonder who that is." Like that's Luke Skywalker, right?
I rolled
think
my
Sebastian
eyes so
Stan's
hard.
name was thrown around a couple times, and I think that would work. But
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say I rolled my eyes so hard when R2D2 showed up. I was like, "You fucking goddamn it!"
so like this is another discussion, I think. But the amount of I guess fan service they throw in here into this season is unrivaled from season 1. Like they have Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, and Luke, and R2D2 that all have these little brief cameos. And I still don't think it takes away from my overall experience, but it definitely feels like a little pandery when it's just here's the characters you know and love, but importantly they don't really damage them in any irredeemable way, which is what the sequels did. So I think the show got it right, at least.
That is an excellent point, and I don't really have a rebuttal to that.
I think it's a good thing they got it right. I think they just could have taken a slight step back.
Yeah, I definitely think it's more than a little pandery for sure.
But I think that's just a disagreement in where you think the line is.
Yeah, no, exactly. But I think that's a very interesting point, is that even when I am upset that they keep doing the member berries on me, that they did do it well. I mean, none of these characters were destroyed like they were in the sequel trilogy. So, I mean, that's something. That's certainly something. I guess we've probably been talking about this way more than I thought.
It's been an hour.
Has it really?
Yeah. Which is fine. I think we were shooting for 90 minutes, I think, on this.
Yeah, we were gonna get into some questions too. I think we weren't really too concerned about the time, but it is the Christmas episode after all.
Yeah, I thought we'd go a little longer.
Yeah, for sure. But
instead of spending time with your families, spend time with us.
Yeah, this will be uploaded on Christmas Day, so definitely, if you're having some kind of weird family issue, you're mad at people, just watch our episode.
Need to take a break.
Yeah, exactly. One last thing I want to say, this ending hit me way harder than I thought it was going to. I actually teared up a little bit when he took off his helmet and he's giving away Baby Yoda. That I'd never in a million years thought I would be any sort of upset by that. But you care about those characters. All faults and all with this show, I give a shit what happens to both of those people. So it was a very it was a tender moment. It was heartfelt, and I best part of that episode for me, for sure. I think we all just agreed. So
yeah, I mean, it was really interesting because he's definitely, you see the inner turmoil of him with his helmet, and I guess in the episode prior to this where he decides, okay, I'm going to do it because we have a goal, we got an objective, we got to do this, and he's a lot more willy-nilly with it now, I think, where he's just going to take it off.
Yeah, moving forward, I think he will.
We've seen him break down his strictness with his beliefs throughout, a little through season 1, but mainly through season 2.
Yeah, it was a good arc for sure. And if they continue his story, I think that'll be where it goes. So yeah, overall, I think the show can get better. I think there's a lot of areas they need to improve, but I'll stick to it. Still the best thing about Star Wars happening right now. it actually got me actively excited for what's next, unlike any of these fucking movies besides Force Awakens, which I think got me excited. Yeah, can't wait to see what's next.
Yeah, I still stick by my rating. I think it's very good. Even if there were things that I wish they did differently or things they changed, the things they did were still really good. So I think it stands.
Yep, I agree. And a lot of my complaints and criticisms are very mechanical and or technical, or something that we've seen in Star Wars as a relative theme, such as the Empire being incompetent, which please fix that. I'm begging you, please. But yeah, I still love the show. So I will keep watching.
Great show. Yeah, definitely going to keep watching. It's still worth your time, I think, for sure. All right. Well, I think that pretty much ends our Mandalorian segment. You guys want to get into some of the fan questions here?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. I have them all on my phone. So we're going to just read these off. We're going to knock them out one by one. So basically, for anybody who doesn't know, we went on our Facebook and our Twitter, and we asked people to email us. We got a couple fan questions. Believe it or not, we're not super popular, so we're going to read off all of them. But we have a lot of questions, a lot of good questions in here, not necessarily, current media related, but I'm excited for it.
Some are.
Some aren't. So first question, who is the best Joker? Jared Leto, obviously. Next.
No.
Do you guys have a Joker that you like more than Heath Ledger?
I don't. The direct answer to that is no. I think Joaquin Phoenix was really good, but the answer to your question is no.
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix was a good Joker. I don't think he was better than Heath Ledger, though.
Yeah, I think that performance is pretty iconic. I don't know. And I also, coming from someone, I don't really like the Joker in most media. I think he's kind of a boring character. But in The Dark Knight, where he's just like this weird, pure chaos entity that only exists because of Batman, that is super fun.
Yeah.
And, he really, not that movie isn't fucking awesome without the Joker, but he really is like the icing on the cake for that movie. So yeah, I think we can move past that one. That one's pretty easy.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. Why did they make 2 Trons?
This one's for you, Connor.
This one is all you.
Because Tron is fucking awesome, all right? Actually, if you go back and watch that first movie, it's not very good. I think, I'm, clearly biased. I love Tron Legacy. I think it tells a really good story, a father-son / creator-created story. Amazing special effects, awesome soundtrack. The directing is, Joseph Kosinski does an interesting thing with symmetry in that film. Almost every shot has a center focus with it being symmetrical on the sides, which really makes you feel like you're in a computer system. There's a lot of shit in that movie. I mean, I could go on for hours about that movie, but yeah, that's why they made 2 of them, because they fucked up the first time. They wanted to do it right the second time, and nobody saw it. I don't even think I saw it in theaters. I saw it later, but I wish I had. Okay, so this one plays into what we were just talking about, and I don't know how many that we're gonna have, but it says, what are the benefits of Disney buying Star Wars?
Okay.
All right, next question.
There's more of it?
There's more of it. I mean, you weren't getting any movies, you weren't getting any content before, because they just stopped making stuff.
Disney has the bank account for it.
Yeah, the bank account for it. If you like toys, you got your toys.
You really like building Legos.
Yeah.
This is for you.
The Star Wars Legos are actually dope, so I'm here for it.
They are.
I would say really the benefits were, I still think Force Awakens is good. It's not amazing, but it is a super fun movie. Infinitely replayable. Like, you could watch it forever. Rogue One of the best Star Wars things ever. And I'll even add Mandalorian to that list. I like its inclusion in the Star Wars universe. Everything else is pretty garbage.
Here's my answer. You have a lot of hope about the potential of what's on the horizon. You have a lot of stuff coming out. and that's a very exciting prospect for a Star Wars fan. Even with Last Jedi and even Rise of Skywalker to an extent, I was excited for those movies to come out. Whether I was happy they came out or enjoyed them is another thing. So at least you can look forward to stuff.
You can look forward to, yeah, stuff is being made, whether that's good or bad. All right, well, I guess this one I think is going to be kind of interesting. And it's totally different, but it's just Wii versus Kinect. What are the pros and cons of each? The Wii actually worked.
I was gonna say one sold like record-breaking numbers, and one for the opposite reason also broke records.
They were both sort of at the end of this motion control era, and I think Kinect and PlayStation Move definitely put that into the ground, and then paved the way for what will be the VR, revolution once it's more readily available. But
I think the pros of the Wii was its own standalone console, whereas the Kinect you had to have an Xbox with it, or it was part of the Xbox, I guess. But like people who were buying Xboxes really didn't give a shit about that stuff. And if you were buying a Wii, you were buying a Wii generally like for Nintendo family-friendly gaming, stuff like that.
I think with the Kinect, you had to have a specific version of the Xbox, right?
I thought it was it?
no, you did, because at the end of its life, they realized that no one was buying the Kinect, so they stopped making the adapter for it. So you could no longer. So like I think certain 360s, and then all of the, they brought it over for the Xbox One with Kinect 2.0. That sold even worse, and then they stopped making it entirely.
I can't imagine why. I mean, you have Kinect Star Wars with I'm Han Solo on it. Like, how do you not want to buy that?
That's another thing too, was the fucking, at least Nintendo made games for it, like that supported the system. The Kinect had like Just Dance, and then it had some of the Star Wars shit, and that was it. There was no, every version of the Wii came with Wii Sports, and Wii Sports was awesome.
Yeah, I think the games that came with it were a big thing. Like Wii Sports, like the bowling, tennis, all that stuff, and the fact that you could play it, like I said, with your family or your friends, it was a very big like multiplayer game.
Yeah,
console.
and they also use the motion controls well, I think, in games that didn't generally, use them a lot. Like Super Mario Galaxy, like has really good motion controls with the like being able to pick up the stars and then shaking the controller to hit stuff. Like they work that in pretty well.
Great game.
Great game. So yeah, I think, but definitely Wii was better. Joey, I guess you can just kind of choose the ones that you've been on. For me and Chris, it can be anything, but it's your favorite episode or segment that we've ever recorded.
This one right now. Yeah, like honestly, like I love this discussion about the Mandalorian. It's like very long form, and just talking about what we liked, what we didn't like. I really enjoyed that.
I like that too. I was gonna say either this one, and this is gonna sound like I'm just sucking up to you, but the first episode that you were on where we had the Halloween questions, I really like that too. That was one of my favorite segments.
I think my favorite segment was the esports debate, even though it was kind of a longer segment. But I think it was it was a disagreement, but it played out very well. And I think my favorite episode would be, I think, episode 6, which also had Joey Burt, because we talked about like the video game economics and the PS5 and Gina Carano controversy, Vin Diesel's new music. Like that, there was a lot of great stuff in that episode.
What's not to like?
Vin Diesel's new music was a great bit.
And that to me is probably my favorite episode, although there's been a lot of good ones.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed listening to the esports discussion. I think how you guys all had like different opinions was really interesting, and I just like the long form discussions for this podcast.
I do too, honestly, because we were supposed to only talk about Mando for like 20 minutes, and I think we went up to like an hour. But I'm totally fine because I think we had a good conversation. And one of my favorite things is when we disagree, when we can all have different opinions. And there's a lot of stuff that you said where I was like, I never really thought about it that way, like how they treat the characters. Yeah, super interesting stuff. So yeah, that was probably my favorite. This question I was really excited about. So all it says is Saturday really for the boys?
Yes.
If you're gay, it definitely is.
Ooh.
if honest answer, if there's any younger viewers watching, stop watching. But if you're still watching, it definitely is for the boys. But as you get older, that kind of starts to, people get busy and they have other stuff to do. So, make the most out of the Saturdays as you can now, because sometimes it'll start to fade in the future.
But it will always be for the boys.
It will always be for the boys. In our
In your
hearts, it
heart,
will be for the
you will
boys.
know.
I wish I had a beer I could like shotgun right now. Although it's not Saturday.
All right. This one we kind of talked about before, so we can keep it brief. How do you guys feel about Disney seemingly their current trend of remaking live action or doing live action remakes of classic animated films? We hate it.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say there's not much to
So
really
there's
say.
in terms of pandering and like just what is it called, fan service, there's the Mandalorian level, which is like down here, and it's pretty low, and then you have like remaking every single movie you've already made but in live action, and it's like, why are you doing this? I don't want this.
Yeah.
And damn it, like I watched the live action Lion King remake and I actually liked it. So like me saying that argument directly conflicts with my enjoyment of that movie,
I just watched Mulan not too long ago, and I think the point of that wasn't that it was like as close to the animated as some of the other movies have been, but I didn't really like it that much, even though it was supposed to be true to the legend. But
Yeah, Mulan, I heard, was just a bad movie in general. Like, it just wasn't very good.
That wasn't the question that was asked, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of these live action remakes. It just seems like a easy money
grab.
Yeah, increase our stock price real quick.
Yeah, the ones that I saw, all of the ones that I saw were terrible. I saw Beauty and the Beast, and I saw Aladdin, and there was one other one that I can't remember. But all of those movies are bad.
I do want a Hercules one though. That would be I would go see that.
The only one, yeah, and I think honestly, I think Atlantis would work really well.
Ooh.
Because it doesn't have to conform to any real like nostalgia factor, like, oh, you got to put this song in there, you got to have this character. You can do whatever you want with that movie, and you can make your own world with it, because nobody gives a fuck about Atlantis. So you can really like take some creative liberties.
At what point did they just start innovating and actually making live action movies that aren't like exact remakes of their animated films?
Well, that kind of died with Tron Legacy, because Tron Legacy did okay, and then Tomorrowland with George Clooney did really poorly, and that's actually the reason why Tron 3 was canceled and why a bunch of other live action movies were canceled. And then they made one remake, like live action remake. It made $1 billion+, and they're like, oh fuck, we'll just do this forever.
Yeah,
it's way less work. I mean, the story's there. Like, you don't have to write anything. You could literally just adapt it one for one if you wanted to.
In another 25 years, do you think they'll take the live action ones and remake them as animated movies?
They just re-released the 90s version.
Yeah. Everyone who's seen the original ones has died of coronavirus will be,
Disney created coronavirus to sell old movies.
Yeah, I'm here for that conspiracy. It's better than some of the other conspiracies out there.
Yeah, that's true. Like the 5G one or whatever. Okay, so this one again we talked about on another episode, but see if I can summarize it. It says, I'd love to hear more about your guys' thoughts on streaming platforms exclusives, Sony acquiring the anime studio Funimation and Crunchyroll, so it only goes through them. Disney and their monopolization of franchises like Star Wars, 20th Century Fox, MCU, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and then stuff about movie theater, the future of movie theater and movie theater releases. It's bad.
Let me
Yeah, if you want to pull, it was the longest question we had.
I think
this is a heavy topic though.
Yeah, it is, for our lighthearted Christmas episode.
Yeah.
No, but we had discussed this in the past where a lot of this is kind of a bummer that only one studio owns everything, because you're really only going to get the same kind of content from them. You're going to get it at prices that are way higher than they would normally be because they have a monopoly on it. Yeah, Sony. I'm not one to speak on anime at all. I know nothing about anime. But I know that they did buy Funimation and Crunchyroll, which is like the streaming service for anime. So I'm guessing they'll jack up the prices, have a bunch of exclusives, but you know.
Yeah.
I think if you want like some more detail or thoughts on that, I think episode 8 there was some talk about the movie theater exclusives in the future of the industry and things like that.
Yeah. So for that part of it, yeah, definitely. We gave like a ton of thoughts on that. Like whether or not we think the movie theaters will come back, whether people will even keep making movies if they're not lucrative. You know, that's an important issue too. So, but Joey, what do you think about that? I mean, having just talked about Star Wars sort of being monopolized by Disney, what do you think?
Yeah, so there's pros and cons to it, and as bland of an answer as that is, I think it's the truth. So I mean, you have a giant franchise like either Star Wars or Marvel. You want to keep a lot of things in the same universe, and you want to keep a consistent set of rules that no one steps over. Though sometimes it doesn't always work. See Last Jedi, but I won't rag on that movie any more than I already have. But in theory, you don't have another company or creator kind of trampling over your idea of what something is, which is going to send mixed messages to your fans. So yeah, in theory, you have like a consistent rule set and stuff like that, and fans should just know what to expect, or there's something excited, something for you to be excited about. Like we have this whole lineup of TV shows from Disney coming up. So
Yeah, that's
either it's more consistent releases. Yeah, as far as cons, I mean, you're going to be paying more money. Corporate consolidation is bad. We can talk about that if you want.
It also might be a quantity over quality thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to be pushing out a lot more stuff, but not nearly as good as you would like it to be.
Yeah. Do you really want more stuff if only half of it is good or a fourth of it is good? You know.
Right.
All right. Yeah. So I think, and again, if you guys want to hear more, you said episode 8, right, Chris? That's where we.
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Stuff a little bit. Okay. All right. So this next one I think is a little bit more broad. It says, should Nintendo release the full Pokemon game catalog to the Switch platform, from the Game Boy Color titles or just Game Boy titles to current gen? And my answer is yes.
Yeah, I think so too. Well,
no, I don't want to have more fun on my Switch.
I think it would be nice because there's like exclusives to like the current gen that you can, if you have, I don't know, Gen 3, you can go catch it on Gen 3 and use Pokemon Home and put it in your game. You know, if you only buy, like, say you only buy Sword, you only buy Shield, it could help. But then again, I guess you're buying another game to get that. But
yeah,
it's honestly really interesting that they haven't done this yet, because you can just go and play Pokemon Platinum or Pokemon Ruby or Gold and Silver, Soul Silver, whatever you want on an emulator on your computer.
No, you can't. You can't do that. No one's ever done that here.
He said you can. He's not saying that we have.
Okay.
It's
very illegal. Yes, I'm not recommending you do so.
He said you can.
Matter of factly.
I totally didn't ask you how to do that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, definitely don't go to this certain website and download an emulator.
Well, I'm sorry.
The point being, if they put that on the Switch, that's an experience that's a lot more familiar to you because it's handheld, or I guess you can throw it on TV if you really want to. But when you used to play your Pokemon games, you played them on your Game Boy, and the Switch is pretty close to that. So it makes sense from a physical perspective to do that.
And it's interesting you bring that up too, because one of the most infuriating things about the Switch, and I happen to have my Wii U controller right here, that's charging. But the reason I still have the Wii U is because it did something that the Switch still hasn't done, which is a virtual console. You can buy DS games, you can buy Game Boy Advance games, you can buy Nintendo 64 games, all stuff for whatever reason you can't buy on the Switch. I don't know why they haven't added that plus GameCube era games it seems like they're just losing money on that
I
entirely.
I really want the Pokemon, I think Gale of Darkness or something on the GameCube. I used to
Ooh,
love
yes.
that game, and I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know if the nostalgia is just in my head or if the game would still hold up. But
No,
Yeah,
those are
where you
good.
have all
I
the
played-
shadow Pokemon that you have
Yeah.
to catch. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I played Coliseum pretty recently, and it's still an awesome game. Like, it's still really, really good. Yeah, so to answer your question, viewer, yes, absolutely. We would love to see that. Okay. So here's another actually kind of related question. What direction should Nintendo take with their new titles? And then they say, I personally would like to see multiple remasters of a single game. So I guess maybe like different versions. I'm assuming you mean like Pokemon. So like different versions of Pokemon remastered. Yeah, Nintendo has the best arsenal of retro games ever, and they keep not doing anything with it, and it's infuriating. I would love to see them remake tons of games, have sequels to games that people actually care about. Yeah, I would love to see that going forward, and I think we will get that once the Switch Pro or whatever they decide to call it is announced.
As far as you didn't say Metroid.
Yeah, well, Nintendo has given no love to. I mean, the fans have given more love to Metroid than Nintendo has. That AM2R game, which is free and you should all totally play it, is awesome, and it's the best Metroid game that's come out in 10 years, 20 years, however long it's been since Metroid Fusion and the Prime series. But yeah, that's a huge one right there. You and I, Joey, Custom Robo.
Oh, please,
I need a sequel.
please. Oh,
Chris, are there any games in particular you would like to see like a Nintendo games that you'd like to see sequels to or new ones?
I think the only Nintendo things I kind of play is the Pokemon stuff. Never really had a big Nintendo console growing up. Besides GameCube, I didn't really play that much
Gotcha.
Nintendo specific games on it.
I hope the next Pokemon is better.
Yeah.
Sword and Shield is very lacking.
yeah, I agree. I want them to innovate more with Pokemon. Dynamaxing is not fun.
It's
No.
not.
I really want them to expand and like really think outside of the box and try to focus on what the fans enjoy about Pokemon.
I want them
And-
to regress. I want them to go back to like how the first couple of gens are.
I think what they need to do is expand on that open world section of the game that they have, because like where it's called the wild area or something, where you can they're like you can, oh holy shit, innovation, you can move the camera, but you basically like ride around and their Pokemon actually out and you can catch them and do shit. I would love to see a true open world Pokemon game. Like Nintendo needs to have I think Nakey Jakey said their Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey come to Jesus moment, where they figure out like what made those games so good before and then make these awesome sequels to those. And they need to do that with Pokemon because that formula is hella stale and they need to do something with it.
100% agreed.
All right, let's see. I think now we're going to get into some of the goofier stuff and I'm really excited about this. First one, I think this might spark some hot debate. What is the best and most optimal shape of pasta?
I have a different answer for best and for optimal.
All right, you want to go for it?
So best is probably one that no one else is going to bring up because I don't think it's very popular with a lot of people, but I like angel hair as my favorite. But it's not optimal at all. I think the most optimal is like manicotti or rigatoni, something that's tubular and has ridges to increase the surface area to hold sauce. And manicotti you can stuff with like ricotta and stuff like that.
Okay.
It's actually interesting you said that because I really love rigatoni.
Okay.
So
it's very optimal.
Yeah.
That's your favorite and most optimal?
It's such a funny, like, I love all pasta, so like I don't know. Like it's hard for me to say what the best version is, but
Can
it's
you
all
agree
kinda
that
similar.
shout out to rigatoni.
lasagna is not very optimal? It's just kind of a piece of pasta.
Yeah.
That's
I like
sloppy
lasagna.
mess.
Yeah. It's pretty sloppy.
All right, well next one we can. Oh wait, no, I didn't say what
You
mine
didn't
was.
go.
For me, this might. I don't know if you guys have even had this before, but bow tie noodles are my absolute favorite.
Mhm.
I love bow ties, mainly because my favorite thing about pasta is Parmesan cheese, and bow ties are like little shovels that you can pick up all the Parmesan cheese with. For me, it's ideal.
What about the ones that I mentioned where there's already cheese stuffed in them?
Yeah, I mean that works too. Like if it's like a shell where there's like it's already encased. But
Yeah.
I mean I'm a fan of like I like buttered noodles and then like a shit ton of shaky Parmesan cheese on there.
I will say I think the best one that I can make is like a carbonara with spaghetti.
Oh yeah, carbonara is delicious. I like it because it's like it's like thicker noodles. Like they're a little bit more
Yeah.
dense.
Yeah, you cook them like al dente and you make the sauce really creamy and nice.
Yeah, that's like the one noodle I like al dente because sometimes you have it and it's just like kind of rubbery and gross. But that I really enjoy something with the carbonara. I don't know why. All right, let's see here. There's a lot of pasta questions. So, which is better, marinara or Alfredo sauce? Red sauce or white sauce, boys?
Marinara.
Alfredo, hands down. Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go.
I'm marinara too.
Are you? So let me. I will combine this with the other question. Angel hair with Alfredo is what I love the best, because that like when I was working out in college, I would come home and I would literally make a 1,200 calorie plate of angel hair with Alfredo on it. I think homemade Alfredo. If we're talking homemade, like Alfredo takes the cake. The store bought Alfredo kind of sucks some butt.
Yeah, that's my biggest issue is that marinara for me is always pretty good. Like it doesn't really matter what brand you buy, it's all going to be like relatively delicious. Alfredo can be better than marinara, but most Alfredo you can buy at a store is disgusting. So that's why I always generally go marinara because like 10 times out of 10 it's going to be at least good.
I think that is like the root of my question because I try if I can to avoid buying Alfredo like so hard because it usually sucks. I think I bought like the Walmart version one time and I didn't even like finish the can. It was so bad.
No, the Walmart stuff is so bad, dude.
It's very bad. I think Bertolli is maybe the closest to what I think is okay. But even then it's like so thick and like when you make it yourself you can really get it down perfectly to a science. But if you're going to a store, marinara will take it, but there's nothing better than like a rich homemade Alfredo.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Marinara is what I find myself eating more often than not. And it's more classic, I guess. So, marinara.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's definitely like what I grew up with, I think.
Mhm.
So that's probably why I like it more. My favorite question of all time. This is just a fun one to talk about. But would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? 100 duck-sized horses for me, easily.
It's same, Joey. I don't
I
want to
don't
get my
know. I
reasoning.
think I want to go with the horse-sized duck.
Do you know how fucking scary that would be?
Do you know how big the beak is on that thing?
Okay. You can work your way around that. What you can't work your way around is 100 little duck-sized horses nibbling your ankles and
You
like scratching at you.
You kick one, you're gonna break its ribs instantly.
You just kick them all day long.
Okay, you can only kick like 20 or 30 before you start panting and run out of energy, and then they're just gonna like tackle you and jump on top of you.
They're duck-sized horses. I mean,
You know, they have
here's
teeth.
the other thing. They're horses. They're gonna stampede. I guarantee you, like 2 or 3 or 4 of them are gonna die, like being trampled in that stampede, right?
They're gonna kill each other for
Maybe.
sure.
Yeah,
Maybe. You know, there's a really funny game. God, I forget what it's called. It's called like Ultimate Fight Simulator or something. But you basically like lay out, these hypothetical scenarios. Like I want one zombie versus like 1,000 chickens or something.
Mhm.
Just goofy scenarios like this.
I think I've seen that game.
Yeah, I love that game.
I have a question. Do you distract the horse-sized duck with like a loaf of bread?
Yeah. Whatever you can find.
Well, let me
Get a giant stick, stick it in its beak as it tries to bite you.
Well, let me sweeten the pot then, Chris, because I think you and I are very similar on this issue. If I give you a machete or some kind of like melee weapon with going into fighting the horse-sized duck, would you choose that instead, or would you still go for the horses?
I think it changes things. It evens the playing field, I think.
It
Because
definitely does.
taking on a duck's or a horse-sized duck by like with your bare hands would be terrifying. Like getting that close and like its beak would definitely like hurt immediately. But I think if you gave yourself some range with a weapon, where you could inflict some more damage, wound it easier.
Yeah,
Maybe I still think I mean, ducks are pretty big. I mean, 100 of those little horses. And then I think if you get tripped up fighting the horses, that's your downfall.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. You have to have like good footing. But I just think I've been attacked by a goose once in my life, and it was one goose, and they're tiny, and it was fucking terrifying. When they open their mouths and they don't make a sound, they just fucking hiss at you. Like they go like it's the scariest shit ever. And like I'm just thinking about a horse-sized one doing that.
It's also the length of time you spend fighting them. So I feel like the one horse-sized duck is going to be a lot faster to take down than 100 duck-sized horses.
Yeah, but there's also way more chance of you dying.
Yeah, I think
You win some, you lose some.
the timing
You know
doesn't matter. I want to come out of it alive.
As long as it takes, as long as I'm not dead.
I feel like I also feel like you could pick up, as graphic as this is for this podcast, you could like choke out those horses pretty easily.
Yeah, you could crush their little horse spines just like stepping on them.
I was talking about like choking them, but let's move on.
I was saying you just like crunch them. It's fine. You ever see that Weird Al video, the Weasel Stomping Day one?
Yeah.
What are they, like fall leaves?
Yeah.
Go out of your way to step on the sidewalk?
I will say we're getting real graphic with it, but there was one of the cats outside got a mouse and killed it, or a vole, and it was outside, and I went outside like check the mail or something barefoot, and I stepped on its body, like it crunched and squished all the guts out.
Oh god! At least was it dried out a little bit, or was it still like?
It was pretty fresh. It was pretty fresh. Yeah.
Oh boy!
It just exploded.
Yep.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Hope you threw those shoes away.
I was barefoot.
Oh god.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I like went in and took a shower.
All right. Well, now let's talk about the holiday questions. Jesus Christ.
Happy holidays, everybody.
All right. Which reindeer do you identify with the most?
I don't know.
I feel like there's two groups.
I can't even name all of them.
So there's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen.
Cupid, Comet, Blitzen.
Yeah, Donner, Cupid, Comet, Blitzen, and then Rudolph.
Donner sounds like Connor.
That's what I said earlier too.
I think there's two groups. There's like the main, like the standard 8, and then there's Rudolph. So how conceited are you?
Yeah,
I think you're gonna pick Rudolph.
This question is how much self-esteem do you have? I think it's really. I would
Probably
say
the one pulling the least amount of weight on the sleigh.
Is that because you like being whipped, Joey?
Sure, let's go with that.
I'm gonna go Rudolph because I'm the star of the show.
All right.
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna go the one that died and then was replaced by the main ones.
Was he roadkill?
Yeah. The reindeer who's just in the North Pole. He's not part of Santa's sleigh at all. He's just kind of there.
He broke his
Christmas
ankle
is so
landing
long.
on a roof, and Santa had to take him out back.
Yeah, exactly. You had to do like we would do with those fucking tiny horses. What's your favorite holiday drink? You're so wholesome. We're like, eggnog and eggnog and anything.
Eggnog is gross.
What?
No, I'm with you.
Eggnog is disgusting.
Okay, what kind of eggnog have you had, Chris?
I don't know, the one with the eggnog and the rum and.
Wait, Joey, you don't like it either?
No, I love eggnog. I was gonna say,
you two on the
Evan
same
Williams eggnog.
Oh hell yeah!
Hashtag not sponsored.
Is that the one with the green label on it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one they have now. And
That's the one they don't like.
yeah.
Oh,
Interesting.
thanks, Chris. You just lost our sponsorship. Appreciate it.
Well,
Sorry, Evan Williams.
no, I love it. I'll drink some of it right now.
Really, I actually thought, for some reason in my head, I thought you did like it. Like I remember you drinking it, but maybe I'm
I
misremembering.
don't think I've ever drank it with you.
It's kind of just like,
I've had it like twice in my life. I hate it that much.
it's like a cinnamony milkshake. I don't really know what's to hate about it.
You grind some nutmeg on top of it.
Yeah.
Delicious. What are some other holiday drinks though?
I did like a week ago, or whenever we were doing Christmas decorations, I did Christmas margaritas, which I sent to Connor. It's like a margarita, but you throw some like coconut dream in it, and I put a cherry in mine, which sweetened it up a little bit, and some sugar on the outside. I think you can also do like apple cider and rum, or whiskey and cinnamon, stuff like that. That's more like Thanksgiving, in my opinion. But
Yeah, there's really, it's kind of just anything fruity you can kind of throw out there and it'll be fine. I don't really know. Besides eggnog, I don't really know of anything like specific that people do.
Not really holiday specific, but hot chocolate with a bunch of whipped cream. Always pretty good. Maybe some
yeah.
Kahlua.
yeah,
Yeah, Kahlua, the Bailey's Irish cream or whatever. That's always good with the hot chocolate.
I was gonna say you could spike a hot chocolate and it's pretty good. I think that would probably be pretty close.
Yeah, we did that one year in Radford. Remember that we had like that crazy fort that we made. It sounds like we're 5 years old. We were in college. But yeah, we had like that whole day where we did that and we all watched movies and shit. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, that would probably be my either eggnog or like that type of hot chocolate for sure. Should I do the joke question, Chris? The one underneath that.
Absolutely.
All right.
I don't know which one you're talking about, but
I'm talking about the how much shit one.
yeah, yes.
You want to do that? Okay. All it says, thanks, Dave, for this, by the way. It says, how much shit would a dipshit dip if a dipshit could dip shit?
Well, you know, the image is like somebody with like a mental like disability packing like poop into their lip, like packing a fat lip of poop. I guess there's only the limit of how far your lip can stretch.
Yeah. How much? Let me reread this. How much shit would a dipshit dip if a dipshit could dip shit? Yeah, I'm guessing just as much as tobacco. Depends on how much you like poop, I guess.
The limit does not exist.
If you eat poop, you're in luck. We don't take a lot of stances here on Split Screen Media, but I can say firmly I'm against eating poop. I'm not afraid to say it.
Yeah, I don't
So
dip,
brave.
I do not dip poop.
No,
So
I
brave.
don't dip poop. We may talk about the Mandalorian 40 minutes more than we're supposed to, but we do not dip poop. Okay, this is where we sort of get out of the holiday questions, but it's what type of bender do you guys think that you are? So this is an Avatar themed
You
question.
know,
You can make up your own as well.
can I tell you what I initially thought it was?
Yeah, go for it.
I thought it was like a drug bender. Like an alcohol or drug bender, and I was like,
I like to.
But we won't go there on this.
I like to mix the
family-friendly
turkeys with the cocaine.
We're not going to go there on this family-friendly holiday special.
I don't know. I really liked airbenders when I was a kid. That was my favorite. So I think I'd probably do. I've always wanted to, like, I think if I had a superpower, like, it would either be flying or super speed. So
I'd probably get water.
it's fair.
I
don't
really
know
like
much
air
about-
as well. And I feel like I want to be an airbender, but I feel like I'm more of an earthbender. Like I'm more like, meshes with my personality and shit.
Yeah, but I feel like you could definitely, you look the part more for an airbender because you're like, you're nice and skinny. You could get up there in the air. I look like a chunky earthbender. I got solid mass,
Earthbending is cool shit though.
It is. They're all cool.
They're all
Any
cool.
One of those would be awesome.
They are all very cool.
I don't want to be the firebender from the M. Night Shyamalan movie where you can't actually create fire. They have to carry fire with them. It's so stupid. So yeah, really any of those would be awesome. This one, I have an answer for this. I was sort of part of it, but not really. I was kind of on the sideline. But it can really be anything you guys want. So what is the best prank that you've ever pulled?
Which what was the one that you were on the sideline of?
Yeah, okay, I can tell you. So I was in high school. I think I might have told you guys this before. But it's one of my favorite stories. We had this Spanish teacher. I won't say a name. Well, we'll call her Mrs. Johnson for this.
The Spanish teacher, Miss Johnson.
Yeah, the Spanish teacher, Mrs. Johnson. Everyone's favorite Spanish teacher. And she was sort of towards the end of her teaching career, and she was a little bit insane. Like she yelled at the students a lot, and high school kids are mean. So if you're like a bad teacher and you're insane, kids are gonna mess with you. Like that's just how it is. You have to have a little bit of self-awareness. But we did all kinds of pranks to her. But one of my all-time favorite pranks, it was actually right before winter break, so holiday themed. But my friend, we'll also call him Johnson. I don't want to incriminate anybody.
Johnson and Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson. So Johnson was messing with Johnson. We'll call him Steve. My buddy Steve had his phone, and he was like, all right, I'm going to put this. She really hated like any sort of noise in the class, particularly like phones and stuff. So he put his phone in the ceiling, and he set his alarm for every 5 minutes. So, and he turned the volume all the way up. So we kind of did reconnaissance. Like we looked out of the classroom. We were making sure that Mrs. Johnson wasn't there or whatever. And he put it up in the ceiling. She came back, and the phone, like class starts 5 minutes in, it goes off once. And she starts out like she was trying to be nice because a lot of kids had reported her over the whole semester for just being kind of horrible. And she was like, okay, it's time to put the phone away, blah, blah, blah. And then by like the 7th time it went off, she was like, where's the fucking phone? And she's like ripping through backpacks. Just like trying to find this phone. And I have no idea what you're talking about. Like we all pretended that we didn't hear it.
This was in public school, right?
No.
No,
No, it wasn't actually.
Okay.
But
so there's no difference in education.
No, not at all. It's all the same. It's just more money. But that I think was it was one of the most enjoyable pranks. Because man, like I part of me, as you get older, you feel sort of bad for stuff like that. Like you're like, oh, we were all pretty horrible kids, even though I wasn't directly responsible for any of it. You're just like, oh, that was shitty. But at the same time, God damn, it still makes me laugh.
I think there's a lot of pranks on teachers that, looking back, I was a dick, but
Yeah,
they're still funny.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was another thing too. She hated the mention of the movie Selena, which is like about the singer Selena with Jennifer Lopez. We watched it in Spanish 1, and then she got really upset that we kept bringing it up in Spanish 3. She's like, "We already watched it. You're not watching Selena." So at Christmas, I mean Steve.
Bleep it out. We'll bleep it out.
Great cover.
We'll bleep it out.
Yeah, I'll bleep it out. It's fine. So Steve gave Jimmy. It's really hard to come up with fake names. My friend gave my other friend a copy of the movie, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Just wait and see." And they wrapped it, and in the middle of class, he was like, "Hey, my friend got me this thing. Let's see what it is." And he opens it up while he's standing up, and he's like, "Oh my God, it's Selena!" And he like showed her, and he was so excited. And she like lost her shit. Like she didn't yell, but like she just started twitching. like we broke her. Oh my God, it was so good. Oh, it's still funny. Do you guys like partake in any sort of teacher pranks like that, or do you have pranks that you pulled on somebody else?
Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say I pull pranks on like Hannah's family a lot. When we first started dating, I convinced I think everyone in her family, her mom, brother, sister's boyfriend, that I couldn't swim. And it's maybe not the best, but it went on for such a long time. And we kept it up. Like I never would swim in front of them. I like was fully committed to it. I started to believe I almost couldn't swim. But then I had to come clean because her mom was gonna buy me like a really expensive life jacket or something, and I was like, "No, I feel bad if you start to spend money." But it went on for like months, from like when we first started dating for like, I don't know, a year or something.
I thought you were gonna say you pretended to fall in the pool or something.
Oh, I should have. I think there was like maybe
Help.
some talks of
Help.
that because they were planning some swimming or boating or something like that, and that's where like I was really gonna like play it up. But then she was like, "Oh, before we do that, we gotta buy Chris a life jacket." And I was like, "Oh, fuck."
Joey, what about you?
So I don't pull too many practical jokes or pranks. I did one I was very proud of at work, and this is a coworker story, but it's not like a bad one or anything. It's just like so we went off to a meeting, and um, actually let me back up. So we had music on, and we have a little room where we work. Not anymore, obviously, but because of COVID. But I had music going on, and I left to go do something. I forgot what, and I came back, and my phone was playing "Never Gonna Give You Up" Rick Astley. And he was like, "You trolled me. You rickrolled me while you were gone. How did you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know." So that day, he left for a meeting. So I went to print off a couple of Rick Astley pictures, like just on paper, and I hid them like in various places throughout the room, and a couple of his I guess office supplies and desk stuff. And every time he would find one, I'd be like, "Yeah, there's more. There's more than that. Keep looking." And I think I had about 6, and it took him like I think a week to find all of them.
Nice.
After he found all of them, did you say, "Hey, there's still some more"?
I didn't. I wasn't that mean.
He's tearing the office apart, trying to
Yeah,
find
just
the
like
pictures.
Where's
You come
the
in, the
last brick?
carpets are up.
There's
so
actually 7.
afterwards, we hung all of them up on the wall, and yeah, we'd get pretty strange looks from people. It's like, why do you have so many Rick Astleys on your wall?
Why don't you have that many Rick Astleys on your wall?
It's a very good question.
He's a phenomenal artist. Those are all really good. Oh shit. All right. Well, I think this is the last question, but I'd love to maybe come up with one for each of us on the fly after this, if you guys can think of any. But the last question here, and I think we're going to be pretty unanimous with this, is strawberry cream cheese better than regular for an everything bagel? The answer is fucking no, you heathen. That's disgusting.
On a regular, or on an everything bagel.
Specifically on
Regular.
an everything bagel, yeah.
No.
Regular.
No, if you have a regular bagel with strawberry cream cheese, that's fine.
Yeah.
But no, with the onion and the poppy seeds and
no.
no,
So
that's
here's a retort. How about let's say a blueberry bagel with strawberry cream cheese? Do you mix the flavors?
yeah, because they have like blueberry, strawberry yogurt, which is pretty good.
I think it's fine. Yeah.
I think it depends on the flavors you're mixing. Blueberry and strawberry don't go together for me as well. I don't usually eat flavored cream cheese a lot though.
Okay. Yeah, I've only had it a couple times in my life, but yeah, like mixed berry yogurt is basically blueberries and strawberries.
That's true.
So
I think there's a very like the like fake strawberry flavor though mixed with like blueberry flavor. It's not something I'm a big fan of.
yeah. To lend an olive branch to this viewer, you can definitely have strawberry cream cheese on bagels, and it is delicious, in my opinion. But specifically, it was everything bagel that was brought up, and no, no, that's gross.
I do want to mention my favorite bagel I've ever had was when I was in New York, and it was an everything bagel with regular cream cheese, as it should be, but it also had lox, capers, and tomato on it, and it was fucking delicious.
Yeah, you sent me that. That looks so good. So yeah, I think well that's the end of the questions. Do you guys want to try and do like we're talking like maybe an improv one where we just throw one out for everybody?
Sure.
Do you you didn't prepare?
Who's
me
got
for
one?
this.
Oh no, I didn't prepare anybody at all. I just
Did you have one prepared, Connor?
no. No, you know what? Actually, I do. We weren't really able to see a lot of stuff this year, obviously, because movie theaters were closed down and with COVID. But and it doesn't even need to necessarily be a movie that came out this year. But what was your favorite movie that you just saw this year so far?
God, now I'm thinking back to what I've seen this year.
I think I have maybe two.
Okay, yeah,
I
it can be
can't-
more than one.
I think I watched both of these this year. Knives Out and was it like Bad Times at the El Royale or something like that?
Okay,
I also saw Knives Out this year. I don't think that was my favorite that I've seen.
I haven't watched a lot
2020.
of movies this year.
Yeah.
I'm slowly getting back into it, but
Oh man. Connor, do you know off the top of your head when Parasite came out?
oh, that was mine.
Was that 2019 or 2020?
It was 2019, but I saw it in 2020. I saw it like very early 2020.
For lack of remembering when I saw it, I'm gonna say Parasite.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen Parasite, fucking watch it immediately. It's so good.
I will say I did just watch Tenet, and that was very good.
Yeah, Tenet is awesome. I would probably put that in like my top 5 for the year for sure.
That's like number one most recent. I mean, Mulan and Fat Man are, very close contenders to Tenet, but yeah, for the whole year, man, this year has felt like 10 years.
It really has.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gone on so long.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think mine would definitely be Parasite, Tenet. Invisible Man was the last movie I saw in theaters, and it was actually really good. Like surprisingly good. But yeah, I think that would be it for me. And again, not much new. They didn't really release too much new stuff. But I'm sorry, did I put you guys on the spot for the question thing? We don't have to go all the way around.
I think
No,
I got one. I have one.
Okay.
I'll keep this. I'll have to change the question. I don't know why I was watching this, but I saw an interview that Larry King was doing with Abed from Community. I don't know the actor's name. But he asked him like, what's the one like luxury you could live without? And it was kind of a crazy interview because he was saying like a hot cup of coffee or like cozy socks or something. And Larry King's like, those aren't luxuries. And he goes, well, give me an example. And Larry King goes, a private airplane. And I forget what the other guy's response was, but it was like really funny.
He's just like so out of touch.
Yeah. But, as far as, average American, what is a luxury that you can't really live without? Average American.
My phone does so much shit for me that I think it might be that. Like it's, if it's how I wake up, it's how I stay in touch with people, it's, how I keep any sort of schedule. Like when there have been times when it's broken and I've literally just like I don't know what to do with myself, which is probably a problem. But yeah, I would say phone definitely.
Is this an item in particular, or can I say the internet?
You can say the internet.
I'll say the internet because like I'm at home every day, so I can access stuff, without a phone. But like without the internet, I'm kind of screwed.
Yeah,
for everything.
that's a good one. Can I say I don't know if this counts as a luxury, but can I say electricity? Just because whenever
I think
the electricity goes out, it sucks.
Yeah.
So that raises an interesting question because I don't really think the internet is fair to classify as a luxury in today's day and age.
Yeah, it's more of a utility.
Yeah, it really is. Electricity, though, I think for sure is a utility as well.
Yeah. In this
Connor,
country, definitely.
I think maybe your answer could maybe be reflected as like a smartphone rather than just like a normal cell phone. Although they're
Yeah.
kind of one and the same now, but
Yeah, there's only like 5 people in the world that have flip phones now. But I would agree.
well, that's not true. I mean, if you don't have a lot of money and you have to get, a burner phone or something like that.
Well, a lot of the burner phones now are smartphones. They're like
Oh, are
shitty
they?
smartphones, but yeah, they have
Mhm.
touch screens and you can download apps and stuff. Like a lot of them still have all those capabilities because they can make that like technology shittier for so cheap. And like you really don't even need to have a flip phone anymore unless
How
you're more
about
comfortable.
how about like one of the newer, nicer smartphones?
Yeah, I would definitely. Yeah, we'll say like iPhone 8 up, and then whatever the Android equivalent is up.
Yeah, I would have to go probably smartphone or computer. I think I'm just so surrounded by technology. I mean, we're doing this on my computer and technology, so
Right.
I mean, I could live without this podcast. Just kidding.
And that's our big news, guys. We're canceling the podcast. This is the last episode.
Well, we had a good run.
We made it 10 episodes in.
All you
Just
need.
kidding.
It's our last hurrah. Joey, did you have a question?
Oh yeah. Crap, I had it. Oh no, what was it? I was distracted. I should have written it down. Oh god.
Coke or
Okay.
Pepsi?
Coke or
Coke.
Pepsi?
Oh,
Oh
Pepsi.
god.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm actually blanking completely, guys. Okay, so I'll default back to something else I had, and then I'll probably remember it halfway through.
Okay.
But it's more lighthearted, so maybe you'll enjoy it. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
This is a good one. This is one I almost asked.
It's a really good one.
Yes, it's a sandwich. It's an open face sausage sandwich. I've had this debate a lot.
Yeah, because the problem with the name hot dog is that it doesn't mention the buns. Like you can't just say I'm having turkey and people assume it's a turkey sandwich. Like, but if you say hot dog, people assume it's with the buns. So that's what kind of makes it interesting to me and maybe not a sandwich, just because it's almost its own classification.
You ever been poor? Put that hot dog on a piece of great value white bread.
Boy, have I.
It's an open face sausage sandwich for sure.
I'm definitely more in your camp. I'm just trying to play like devil's advocate because I think the people who say it's not, I definitely like understand where they're coming from.
I frequently find myself on the opposite side of this, Chris.
Yeah.
Where if I order a hot dog if I order a sandwich and I get a hot dog, I'm gonna be like, that's not what I asked for. Even if it's like the same ingredient composition, if for some reason I'm eating, little, hot dogs between two slices of bread, and I get that as opposed to a hot dog, then I'm gonna be upset, right?
Yeah. Do you call it a sandwich if you use 2 pieces of bread instead? Like
I think let's look at, you know what? We'll do the esports thing. We'll look at the definition of a sandwich.
Yeah. No,
Yep.
bring it up.
That's fair.
Can you share
So
it?
I always see it as a like you can have a sub sandwich as basically one slice of bread just cutting kind of more than halfway through, right? And then you have hot dogs, which is kind of similar. So I think a hot dog is a sub sandwich. I don't think it's a sandwich. I think it's a sub sandwich.
I think I'm wrong according to Oxford Languages.
What
A
do they say?
sandwich is an item of food consisting of 2 pieces of bread with meat, cheese. I don't believe. What about an open face sandwich?
Open faced sandwich is just another subsect of sandwich.
So, but it can't be according to this definition. You have to have 2 pieces of bread.
So is it? So
Let me
the
go
bread-
Merriam-Webster.
The bread being conjoined is really the deciding factor of it not being a sandwich, because that, like you were saying, a Subway sandwich. Well, no, because a Subway sandwich is connected, isn't it? They just cut it in the
It
middle.
is. They cut it in the middle,
It's
but it's
basically
still
a hot
connected.
dog.
Mhm.
Okay, no, you know what? I've been flipped. Or maybe not even flipped, but that confirms it for me. It's definitely a sandwich.
Oh, Merriam-Webster, 2 or more slices of bread or a split roll having a filling in between.
Oh,
That's a
a
sandwich.
filling in between.
That is definition A. Definition B, which is, I guess, a second, but still in the same definition. 1 slice of bread covered with food. Example, have an open face sandwich with 1 slice of bread instead of 2, mustard instead of butter, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, no, that fits hot dog perfectly.
So according to Merriam-Webster, it is a sandwich.
It's weird that we don't call it a hot dog sandwich though, because a hot dog is the meat.
Do you call like a hero sub a hero sandwich?
I guess. Well, the only time I really get like if I went to Subway, I'd be like, "Hey, can I get a?" I guess I'd just say sandwich. I'm like, "Hey, can I get a sandwich?"
Yeah, I definitely call them sandwiches when I go to Subway.
Yeah. Same at Firehouse. Well, Firehouse subs, but
Submarine
know.
sandwich.
yeah, it is a submarine sandwich. Yeah, it's just a different. It's like the Kingdom Phylum class thing. Like it just it's
And
down
you know, hoagies are just another sandwich.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I think we solved it, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we cherry picked a definition.
The age-old debate finally put to rest.
Chris, I am so curious. What time are we at?
2 hours and 5 minutes.
Oh,
2
man.
hours and 5 minutes. Wow. Well, we did say it was a special.
Yeah, I think double our normal runtime is probably a good place to stop.
Yeah, this is a good place to stop. Few things I want to mention beforehand. The contest I mentioned at the beginning, we brought that up on our last episode, which for you guys is going to be episode 9. It's the Cyberpunk episode, and you can go in the description and click the timestamp below. I think it's around like the 50-minute mark or so, and you'll be able to see a jar of M&Ms, of peanut M&Ms that Chris has, and we did a little contest to see who can guess it correctly. So far, we only have one guess in, and we'd love to see
It's gone down.
a bunch of. Yeah, we can't do it now because Chris ate a bunch of them.
It's like almost empty. I'll do it every week until it's completely gone. But
it's actually a good idea. But yeah, for last week it was a certain amount. So we're gonna go off of that number instead of where it's at now, and we already counted, so we already know. But yeah, so definitely submit your answers either on that episode. We'll check that episode's comments or this one. Send us an email, Facebook, however you guys want to do it. We'll read them all. They all come through us. So yeah, and if you guys win, whoever gets closest gets a T-shirt. So we're gonna be making some merch here. Pretty limited merch. It'll be one, but eventually we might do some more. Who knows what 2021 has in store for Split Screen Media. But the second thing I want to mention is just like a general thank you. We really appreciate you guys sticking with us, watching the podcast, hopefully enjoying the content. We hope that we've gotten better at podcasting over the course of these 10 episodes. It really has been a treat to like bring you guys this every single week. Yeah, we really look forward to 2021. I think we got a couple things in store that you guys are really going to like. Yeah, Chris, do you want to say anything before we close out we got one more episode coming this year, but
yeah, and the shirts and merchandise and stuff is probably going to happen after the new year. We're not working on that anymore with the holidays and stuff here. We're going to enjoy it, as should everybody else enjoy it, even though it's been a hard year. Hopefully people can find happiness, the next couple of weeks. And yeah, thank you for watching, making it through 10 episodes with us. It's crazy. But hopefully we can get 10 more and then 10 more again. If you like it, like the video, comment about the M&Ms. Seriously, there's like one person who's commented. So by default, he's the winner right now.
And he's not even close. No, we don't know. He could be close.
Well, we know, but
we know.
No
you guys don't know. He could be close. He could be very far off. And I'd also like to thank Joey for being on. You are the guest we've had on the most. Our favorite guest. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
but yeah.
Wait, no, please keep going, please.
Do you have anything you want to? I don't know if you have anything you want to plug or anything, or just talk about. But
I want to plug the Mandalorian. No. Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. This was really fun. I love doing these long form discussion videos and I guess podcasts. I love being a guest on this show, and I can't wait to see what you guys do in 2021. And other than that, thank you guys for listening, and I hope you have a happy holiday.
Wait, quick before we go, Connor, you mentioned before the podcast when we were prepping that we should all recommend something for our viewers before we go each week.
Yes, I want. This is just a real quick segment I want to do before we end. I probably should have done that before, but I forgot. So yeah, just for anyone who's going to watch us going forward, we'll be doing this every single week. It'll be a quick little thing where we're going to recommend literally anything. It doesn't have to be media related. It can just be something that you enjoy. For me, it is media related, but for everybody else, it can be whatever you want. So my recommendation for this week is Tenet. I just saw it last week. I thought it was awesome. It has some Christopher Nolan stuff, general stuff in it that I don't love. That's in a lot of his movies, but man, if he isn't one of the best filmmakers out right now, and that film is just a monument to his greatness. I think it's just another step in solidifying him as one of the great directors. So Tenet, check it out.
I also recommend Tenet, but I back up your recommendation. It's not what I'm actually recommending.
Gotcha.
I recommend Zach Fox's 2 new songs that dropped. It's Marinate and IH2LYN or something like that. Look them up. Zach Fox. It's not safe for work music, but it's hilarious, and the beat on Marinate is amazing.
I liked Marinate a lot. I thought that was really good.
Did you listen to him?
I did. Yeah.
And mine is going to be not media related, but alcohol related. And I feel like I've talked a lot about alcohol tonight anyway, but my recommendation is Aldi wine. If you guys have not had Winking Owl, it is $3 a bottle for like literally any kind of wine you can imagine. Sangria, Shiraz, Cabernet, Merlot. Real cheap, real good, tastes just as good as regular stuff that you pay like $10 or $15 for. Aldi wine, $3. Go buy some.
That's a good deal. So Aldi, the store, correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Aldi's is awesome.
$2.89.
I love it.
Wow.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here for 2020. We'll see you in 2021. We're going to have a lot more in store. Honestly, too, and this is something we've never really talked about, but if anyone has an interest in being a guest on this show, let us know. We'd love to have really anybody on. If you have a topic that you want to discuss or you're passionate about, the things that we talk about here on the show, even if it's not media related, shoot us an email, shoot us a Facebook, let us know. Chris already said, like and subscribe if you guys enjoy, but yeah, we'll see you next year. Hopefully it's better and not as shitty.
We'll see you on the first day of 2021.
First day of 2021.
Already starting off on a good note.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.